Hello to all my dear followers. Today I welcome you to the 7th season of What If Naruto Returned to the Past with His Powers and Memories. Remember, if you want more seasons and support the channel to see more fanfics like this, just like, comment, and subscribe. Let's begin.
Chapter 23, I of Akatsuki. Bloody battles in Konoha. Chaos and destruction. That's what was seen in the streets of Konoha. Civilians who were resting in their homes awoke to find chaos in the streets. Animals came out from everywhere and began to destroy everything. These animals had purple eyes with concentric circles around the pupil. It was the Rinnegan. The shinobi of Konoha fought against the animals, discovering that they were summons. So they fought until none remained. The Black Lightning vs. the power of the Monkey King. Naruto was staring at his opponent. He was very upset. This was his special day. A day of love and happiness, and it all went down the drain because Akatsuki decided to attack the village. Drawing his swords, he went against the Akatsuki, who in turn waited for him with great pleasure. In his hands he formed swords of black light and clashed against Naruto's sword, saying, "You cannot win, Jinchuriki. My power is too great for you to stop me. Now feel the power of the Black Lightning. Storm Element. Lightning Plasma." Forming a series of lasers in Naruto's area, they surrounded him, and then each laser went against the blonde. Boly smiled to see that it was easy, but a great gust of wind came out, dissipating the attack. Naruto appeared surrounded by his wind dome. "That's what I like. Make it harder for me," Boly said, but Naruto didn't respond. He only paid attention to his village, which was being attacked, and then he thought, "How's the village? I hope everything's all right. Who am I kidding? Akatsuki is attacking everywhere. I need to finish quickly so I can go help somewhere else." Charging wind chakra into his swords, he said, "Wind style. Tegus X." Launching a wave of wind in an X shape, it went towards Boly and made an impact. Naruto thought it would be enough, but the attack just kept moving forward. There was a cut in an X shape on his body, but it regenerated as if nothing had happened. Boly smiled, saying, "Surprised, you won't be able to touch me. I am the Black Storm. Nothing can harm me and your attacks will only wear you down. Now it's my turn." Storm Element. Black Lightning. Launching a beam from the palm of his hand. A beam as black as coal went towards Naruto, who, seeing the attack, responded with his most powerful wind attack. Wind style. Raisin Shuriken. Both attacks hit, and due to elemental superiority, the Raisin Shuriken was winning, but Boly, using his other hand, said, "Storm Element. Laser Circus." Several black lasers went straight at Naruto. Seeing this, he tried to counterattack, but he couldn't look away because he was focused on the black beam. Wukong observed everything and thought, "The time has come for me to fight again, and it will be the last time. I will do it to defend this village that young Naruto cherishes so much, especially since he is in danger now." Wukong's staff began to glow and floated to stand in front of Naruto, and it grew to just spin, causing the lasers to bounce off. Then Wukong said, "Young Naruto, I will fight for you in this battle. Go and defend your village. They need you there. I will soon reunite with you." Materializing, Wukong appeared holding the staff. Naruto nodded and went to the village. Boly, seeing him leave, said, "You're not leaving here." Storm Element. Black Lightning. Once again he launched his attack in Naruto's direction, but Wukong stepped in front, spun his staff, and advanced towards the Akatsuki member. The attack hit, but nothing happened. Wukong just kept advancing until he landed a precise blow on Boly's chin, sending him flying. Jumping towards him, he struck him again, sending him crashing to the ground. Wukong descended to where Boly was, approached, and said, "I am your opponent and I'll tell you this. I'm going to defeat you so young Naruto won't have to deal with you." Boly laughed at that and said, "You damned circus monkey. You think you can defeat me? I'll make you see reality. But first, what did you do to deserve to hit me? I'm like a cloud. Everything that touches me with the intention of trying to hurt me won't work. But you did." Wukong smiled and said, "I have fought against beings just like you, so I know how to counter your ability." Boly readied the black laser swords in his hands and went against Wukong, who responded with his staff, stopping the erratic attacks of the Akatsuki. "What's wrong, circus monkey? Can't you respond to my attacks? That's not it. I'm preparing to give you a real blow, Wukong responded, and with his staff shining with a golden aura, he struck Boly with a precise blow. Boly gasped in pain from the blow, and with the staff, Wukong struck him, sending him towards the tree. Then, extending the staff, he slammed him into the ground. Boly, using his black laser sword, blocked the blow and made the staff go elsewhere. Boly stood up and said, "It was close, that would have hurt if it had hit me. I see you're strong, but I'm stronger." Charging black chakra, he said, "Storm element." Black birds. From the same black rays emerged black birds created by his chakra that flew against Wukong. He, however, awaited the attack. With his staff in hand, he charged forward against Boly's attack. Using his staff, he destroyed each bird without problems. Boly did not stop there and sent a black beam from the sky towards Wukong. Seeing the attack, he spun his staff above himself and stopped his attack. Wukong moved aside and his staff went back towards him. "You are dangerous, very dangerous. That's why my duty now is to end you, and by doing so I will prevent you from continuing to exist and causing more harm," Wukong said, to which Boly replied, "You think you can stop me? You are nothing to me, I will prove it to you." Channeling more chakra, Boly said, "Storm element, lightning tiger." With his hands, he fired his black beam, which formed a tiger that charged at Wukong. Wukong, however, prepared himself, dodging the tiger's claw with his staff and striking it, forcing it back. His staff was then surrounded by a golden aura, and he delivered a precise blow to the tiger's back, causing it to explode instantly. Boly didn't stop and attacked from 5 directions with the black beams he produced from the sky. Wukong enlarged his staff and, by spinning it, stopped the attack, although the black birds took advantage of the situation and flew at Wukong, causing an explosion upon impact. "Ha ha ha, see, I'm superior to you, you carnival monkey." From the smoke, the staff spun towards Boly and managed to strike him, making him stumble back. The staff struck him again, this time in the back, and continued until it returned to Wukong. The smoke dissipated, and there stood Wukong, most of his battle armor destroyed and covered in 3rd and 4th degree burns. Boly was shocked to see him and said, "Why don't you die, you damn carnival monkey? Now you'll see." Boly was preparing his most powerful attack. Something in Wukong clicked in his head and he said, "This power of yours seems familiar to me. It resembles the enemy I once faced alongside the other gods. How did you obtain this power? Answer me." Boly smiled and said, "You want to know so much? Well, I'll tell you, in the end you'll die." Flashback. Boly was a light brown-haired boy who played peacefully. He lived in a small village between Amigakure and Iwagakure. His family was poor but honest, working diligently to earn money and bring food home. His life was quiet until one day a fierce storm arrived. Everyone was at home except Boly, who was running as fast as he could to get home. But he tripped over a rock and fell to the ground. He tried to get up, and at that moment 3 black lightning bolts struck his small 8-year-old body. There were no cries of pain or anything like that. Boly fell to the ground again, his body covered in black electricity that seemed endless. The next day arrived, and his body was still emitting black lightning, though only faintly. He had slowly assimilated the power of lightning. Boly's parents found him lying on the ground. His brown hair had turned as black as coal. His father tried to lift him but felt an electric shock. He realized he had been struck by lightning. Both were surprised that their son was still alive, so they stayed there waiting for it to stop emitting electricity. Hours passed and finally his father was able to carry him. Then they took him home. He was still unconscious due to the strong electric shock he suffered, but in his mind it was something else. "Where am I?" Boly looked all around searching for something or someone until he saw some red eyes. Boly was frightened by that, and that presence said, "Child, don't be afraid. I can give you everything you want in exchange for something." Boly, still scared, said, "Who are you and what do you want from me?" The dark being said, "Who I am is not important now, and what I want is to give you the power to crush your enemies in exchange for your oath of loyalty to me." Boly shook his head, saying, "No, and why would I want power if I'm happy living with my family?" The dark entity laughed and said, "At some point you will come to me begging for power. Remember my words, so I will be patiently waiting." Boly disconnected and woke up at home. He thought it was a bad dream, so he ignored it. Years passed, and Bucoli's life was peaceful. Now 18, he was returning home from working in the fields when his life took a dramatic turn. His village was destroyed, the houses burned. His family was worried sick, and dropping everything he was carrying, he ran home to see his parents. When he arrived, it was too late. His parents had been killed, and the perpetrators were their ninjas from Iwagakure. They were talking. This damn third ninja war, when will it end? I don't know. I've heard that the yellow flash of Konoha is at the front. With them there, it will be difficult to advance, so that's why we are waiting for new orders. Bucoli accidentally made a noise, and the Iwagakure ninjas went on guard. He tried to escape, but a wall of earth blocked his path. Then he felt something sharp pierce his back, and Bucoli fell to the ground. Once again, he found himself in that black area, and there that dark being watched him as Bucoli slowly died. And here we are, between life and death, your death, but you can save yourself if you accept what I told you. Bucoli nodded and said, I accept. I have nothing left. My family and those I knew died, so I want revenge. The dark being smiled, and Bucoli was covered with the same rays that struck him 10 years ago. The ninjas of Iwagakure stared at the lifeless body until black rays emerged and carbonized both of the IWA ninjas. Bucoli stood up, emanating a dark chakra covered in rays. Once he saw those responsible for his family's death dead, he returned to the dark zone, and the dark being said, Kneel before me, Bucoli. Now you will be one of my pawns, and I have 2 jobs for you. Bucoli nodded, knelt down, and waited for his master's orders. In a few years, I will send one of my emissaries of darkness to capture a certain person and transform him into one of my lackeys. But there are 2 who can thwart my plans. You must find the sacred staff of Sun Wukong and the disciple of Buddha. Destroy them, and with them out of the way, my emissary will be able to accomplish his objective without problems. Fulfill your duty, and you will be one of my dark generals. Bucoli nodded and said, It will be done as you say, at least tell me your name. The dark being nodded, approached a little closer, and Bucoli couldn't see much, just a dark silhouette and 15 black tails that moved intensely. Then he said, Okay, I'll tell you my name. My name is, End of Flashback. Wukong was stunned by what he heard. Bucoli, seeing his surprise, said, With this I will fulfill my duty. Now die. Storm element. Great black dragon. The black lightning formed a colossal dragon and charged at Wukong. Seeing the attack, he prepared himself. He knew what he had to do, so he pulled a few strands of hair from his head and blew them away. 6 copies of Wukong, each holding a sacred staff, moved toward the dragon. They positioned themselves and spun the staff, halting the dragon's momentum. Wukong then moved to stop the attack once and for all. He knew that if it hit the ground, the damage would be irreparable. Holding his staff vertically, he began to spin it, creating a hurricane, and proceeded to absorb the black dragon. When he finished, he said, Your power comes from those dark clouds, so I'm going to restrict you from that. Releasing the absorbed power into the air, a golden beam was created and sent into the sky, causing the black clouds to disappear and the sky to clear. Bucoli did not give up and tried to attack him, but the copies of Wukong restricted his path, and the original said, You are a danger in this world. You made a deal with that abomination. So I will seal you in the prison of heaven, so that you never return to this world and pay for your sins. Approaching Bucoli, he touched him with the palm of his hand and began to draw a kanji. Then, behind him, some doors opened and began to attract the Akatsuki, who gave his last words. Fool, even if you lock me up, it's all done. After years of tracking you down, I found you in the possession of that idiot Keu. I led him astray, and he told me about your condition. When he died, I tried to get you back, but you chose the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki. That's why I came here alone, separating myself from the rest. Why do you think I didn't pursue that brat? You were my target. Now that you're out of the staff, you'll disappear. And when Buddha's disciple, Tai Ling, dies, the emissary of darkness will have no obstacles and will fulfill his objective for the Dark Lord, plunging the world into darkness. Ha ha ha. Wukong could no longer tolerate it and sent him to the prison in the sky. The doors closed and disappeared. He had no time left, so he immediately went to find Naruto to warn him about what had happened. Bucoli, the one with the black lightning, was locked away forever by son Wukong. Naruto was running around eliminating the summons. Then Wukong appeared in front of him. He saw how badly injured he was. Then he said, "Master Wukong, allow me to help you with your wounds." Wukong shook his head and said, "No, there's no salvation for me now. Listen carefully, Naruto. That guy I fought was a lackey of a being I fought millennia ago. His power is beyond your imagination. And no, in your current state, he can defeat you with just a finger. What I do know is that you must now find an ally who will help you against what will come at any moment. Look for Tai Ling. He is the disciple of Buddha. He will help you against the emissary of darkness." Wukong began to disappear, turning into golden dust. Naruto noticed, and Wukong said, "I have no more time left. Now everything is in your hands. I will give you two gifts. The first is that I will now give you the knowledge of how to use my sacred staff to the fullest, and the second is the vision of why I really stayed inside the staff." Wukong's finger glowed gold and touched Naruto's forehead. Then he said, "That's it. When you're free, explore your mind and look at the memories I've given you. My time is up. Goodbye, Naruto, and defend your village as you have done until now. I trust you can stop this new threat that's approaching." Thus Wukong disappeared in a golden dust and the staff fell to the floor. Naruto picked it up and a tear fell on it. "Master, I promise that I will stop the current threat and the future one that is approaching. Now I will defend my village and protect the people I care about." With that in mind, Naruto headed in the direction of the other fight. The six-way eye of illusion vs the rotating copying eye of kaleidoscope. The Umbu with the weasel mask was notified of the intrusion and along with his squad began to mobilize. They were about to go to the Hokage to report what had happened, but a lava eruption came out of the ground and fell on the weasel Umbu squad. They fell to the ground, and an Akatsuki member appeared in front of them and said, "I was looking for you, Itachi Uchiha, Akatsuki deserter. I've been told you're very good at genjutsu. Well, I call them illusions. I was told I could test my skills against you, so show me what you've got." Wielding a trident as a weapon, he lunged at Weasel, or as Itachi Uchiha was called, taking out a kunai and going at him, and both weapons clashed. The Akatsuki member said, "Let's see, you can fight this." Striking the floor with his trident, it began to crack and below there was a very intense fire. The Umbu who were on the floor began to fall and the floor where Itachi was broke and he was also falling, until he felt something different in everything. He activated his Sharingan, revealing the reality. The Akatsuki member began to laugh. "Ha ha ha, the Sharingan. It is said that that eye of yours reveals any illusion made by bringing you back to reality. Although I wonder which is superior, your Sharingan or my Ikugen, the eye of the six paths of illusion." The Akatsuki's eye was red and a kanji for illusion was written on it. Itachi was surprised to see that and said, "Who are you? I don't recognize you." The Akatsuki member laughed at that and said, "Well, if you want to know, it's Aduki Rokuti. Now let's see how good you are, Itachi Uchiha." Aduki went against Itachi and managed to land a clean hit, but it turned into a flock of crows. "You underestimate the power of the Uchiha, so I'll prove it to you." Aduki smiled and said, "I'm looking forward to it. Let's see who is the best master of illusion." Both began to attack. Itachi tried to strike Aduki with his kunai, only for it to dissipate upon contact. Aduki, in turn, tried to strike him in blind spots, succeeding, but Itachi always transformed into a flock of crows. Aduki attempted to attack with an illusion, but thanks to the Sharingan, Itachi perceived the illusion and simply continued advancing. Aduki smiled, and his red eye changed the word from illusion to judgment. Both shifted to a stage where Aduki spoke. "It is said that when one dies, one is judged on the scales of judgment. There it is determined whether one goes to the pure world, a place where one can rest in peace, or to the world of the damned, hell itself, where one will live their worst fears over and over again eternally. All that depends on the actions of each one. The question is, how many actions have you had, Itachi?" In front of Itachi was a huge scale. It began to move until it tipped towards the world of the damned. Itachi tried in every way to break the genjutsu, but even with his Sharingan he could not. Aduki saw what he was trying and said, "It's useless, Itachi. You can't break this illusion because it's real. That's my ability with my Ikugen. I can create normal or real illusions as I please, and you won't get out of here. The world of the damned. It seems you have a great sin that will immediately tip the scales there. Show me what that sin is, Itachi." Aduki's read, I changed the word to hell, and then the floor began to break where Itachi slowly fell. When he woke up he saw that he was in front of him, but it wasn't Itachi, it was Sasuke. He saw how he applied the Tsukuyomi to himself and saw the Uchiha massacre over and over again. Then they were both outside and he saw what it looked like, and their Aduki appeared walking towards Itachi and said, I see, I thought you carried the guilt of murdering your entire clan, but that's not the case. I see how you are truly being judged for abandoning your younger brother, the greatest sin, betraying your family, breaking a promise you made to your parents and never kept. On the contrary, you left your brother alone, you caused him to leave your village in search of power. I know everything, Itachi. I can see everything through your mind. Those who always cause these kinds of things die alone, and you are no exception. Your soul will suffer eternally in the world of the damned. This is your end, Itachi Uchiha. Itachi couldn't move. Even with his Sharingan active, he saw how everything was real. He was resigning himself until a hand as warm as the sun touched his shoulder, saying, Itachi, don't believe what this guy tells you. It's true you couldn't take care of your younger brother, but you're not alone. You have me, your cousin, who will be with you every step of the way. One can redeem their actions with others, and in this way one can purify their soul. Besides, you made me a new promise, Itachi, that you would bring your younger brother back. Or have you forgotten? Itachi heard Makoto's words, and gathering his courage once more, he stood up. Aduki was surprised that Itachi would come to life again and stand up. Then he said, I see, the impulse to see your family again keeps you going. No, it's because of a new promise. The question is, will you be able to keep it, or will you fail like you did with Sasuke? Itachi, grabbing his kunai, prepared to attack Aduki. Makoto, who was by his side, said, Itachi, I have faith that you will fulfill your promise. So first defeat this boastful braggart and protect our village as Itachi Uchiha of Konoha. With that said, Itachi smiled, looked at Aduki activating his Mangekyo Sharingan, and then said, let's finish this. I've seen what you can do, and now you will know the true power of an Uchiha. Aduki got ready and said, then show me that power, Itachi, so I can get serious too. Her read, I changed word to animal and the scene changed. They were now in a forest where animals walked. Aduki, contemplating the place, said, it's not beautiful. Nature always brings back memories of where I was born. It is said that the law of animals is that the strongest prevails over the weak. Now here I can fight calmly. Using his trident, he created large water balls. Itachi, seeing the attack, performed the hand seals and said, fire style, great fireball jutsu. Expelling a huge fireball, this impact with the water balls, Aduki, seeing the attack, said, impressive, Itachi, now let's continue with this. Placing the tip of his trident on the ground, he summoned animals that went against Itachi. Seeing this, Itachi began to dodge them and threw his kunai at vital points, causing them to die. Itachi was surprised to see that they did not explode into smoke as usual, but were real. Aduki, seeing his surprise, said, you've forgotten that I can turn dreams into reality. Now I'll get serious. Striking his trident on the ground, it trembled and a huge animal emerged from the ground and Aduki was on top of it. He said, let me introduce you to my friend, the strongest dinosaur that lived millions of years ago, the T-Rex. Now let's see what you can do against this friend of mine. The T-Rex charged at Itachi, impacting him only for him to explode into a flock of crows. Several Itachis formed on either side of the dinosaur and expelled several fireballs, impacting the T-Rex and causing it to fall to the ground. Aduki jumped down from her animal. Itachi materialized with his crows in front of Aduki, saying, that's all you've got. If that's the case, you don't surprise me. Now seeing how you change everything to your liking, it's my turn to change the scenario. Tsukuyomi. Itachi sent Aduki to the world of Tsukuyomi. He was hanging on a pole in the sign of the cross, and Itachi appeared in front of him and said, welcome to my world. Here I am the one who rules and I will make you pay for everything you did to me. So show me where you come from, Aduki Rokuri. Itachi's Mangekyo Sharingan spun with intensity and managed to enter Aduki's mind. A house in the middle of the forest, far from the villages. A family lived peacefully, although at that moment a child was being born. The parents were happy for the blessing they received and named him Aduki Rokuri. 10 years passed since Aduki was born, and he was playing in the forest when he stumbled upon a cave. His curiosity got the better of him, and he went inside to look around. Inside, he found a scroll, opened it, read it, and seeing that it was just a boring text, he ignored it and left the place, but not before being followed by a shadow. He ignored what he had found in that cave, then lay down on his bed and went to sleep. In Aduki's mind, it was something different. There he found himself with someone unknown who was saying, "Child, you have a special gift. Your chakra is different from the rest. Although your power is dormant, I can help you awaken it. Tell me you want me to help you." Aduki was confused, so he asked, "Who are you and why do you say I'm special?" The black figure said, "Let's say I'm someone who is both here and not here at the same time. The reason I say you're special is because you have a natural talent for illusions, or as they call it, genjutsu. Wouldn't you like to have everything to yourself and be unique in this world?" Aduki thought about it and said, "I don't know. I'm happy now and I don't know if I want something like that." The black figure said, "Oh, you don't need to leave your home. You can train here without anyone bothering you, and when the time comes you can go out into the world. What do you say?" Aduki nodded and said, "Okay, I accept, but tell me who you are. At least I need to know who's going to train me." The black figure said, "You are very intelligent. I am Mukuri Rokido and I will help you become an excellent illusionist. Now tomorrow we begin with the training." Aduki's life changed at that moment. His mentor helped him become strong. In 2 years, he mastered a personal taijutsu, and it was also the moment when his power awakened. Mukuri told him that red eye was the Akugen, the eye of the 6 paths of illusion. Then he spent 6 years training his new Jujutsu, and from there he went out into the world to become stronger. Then he became known as the master of Genjutsu, and no one could stand against him. Itachi watched as he acquired his power and Aduki laughed, saying, "Looking back at my memories, well, it's time for me to counterattack too." The red eye changed to the word human and the world of Tsukuyami began to break apart, until they returned to reality itself. They returned to Konoha and next to Itachi was Mikoto who observed everything with her Sharingan. Aduki, upon seeing her, said, "I see, so that's how you were able to access the world of the condemned to help Itachi. Now I can finish them both off and keep the title of the best illusionist in the world." Aduki was surrounded by his chakra. Then a black aura emerged and his body began to change color and his trident was surrounded by black fire. Then he said, "Human illusion is where we live now. It is said that whoever awakens their full human potential achieves things beyond imagination. That is something I long to achieve, and this fight will help me progress towards my goal. Prepare yourself, Itachi, because I am already ready." Running towards Itachi, he prepared himself by unsheathing his Chikudo, infusing it with water chakra and battling Aduki in a Kenjutsu duel. Aduki knew this shouldn't last any longer, so he prepared for his final attack. Wonderful, simply wonderful. But this fight has lasted a long time. It's time to end it, and this is my final attack. Preparing his trident, he unleashed a powerful wave of fire and fired at both Uchiha, hitting them directly, though they exploded into a flock of crows. "I see, no more illusions, it's not like that, Itachi." Itachi and Mikoto were behind Aduki and he said, "You're obsessed with a title that isn't worth it, you should stop and give it all up." Itachi unsheathed his Chikudo again and infused it with water chakra and fought Aduki again, who again gave his final attack only for both of them to explode into a flock of crows. "You're repetitive, Itachi. Look at you appearing behind me again." Itachi said nothing and drew his Chikudo again and faced Aduki once more in an eternal battle. Itachi was next to Mikoto while Aduki stood still. What was remarkable was that Itachi had lost sight in one eye. Then he said, "You are a difficult opponent to beat, Aduki Rokudi. You almost finished me off, yet you fell victim to Izanami, the most powerful technique of the Uchiha clan. You will be trapped in an illusion until you find your true purpose. Although it is better to seal you away because you are very dangerous, this may cause you to abandon Izanami, but when Tatsuga's sword pierces its target, it is the end." Itachi summoned his Susanoo and with the Tatsuga sword in his hand pierced Aduki's body, and just as he said, he left the world of Izanami. Aduki was surprised to see his current situation, looked at Itachi and smiled, saying, "So I was in an illusion in that endless, repetitive battle. I see you really are a prodigy, Itachi. It's no wonder you're the best in your clan. Tell me one thing before I fall into your trap." Upon hearing this, Itachi said, Since you began accumulating chakra in your body, that was step 1. Step 2 was when we were battling, and step 3 was when you were preparing to give your final attack. That's when I initiated the most powerful genjutsu, the Izanami. Unless you find your true purpose, you could break it, but you were obsessed with something irrelevant, so you were never going to get out. Now I'm going to seal you. A few last words. Aduki said, the Tatsuga sword, I see, so I'll soon end up in a world of eternal genjutsu. It will be beautiful, Itachi, I give this to you as a reward. He threw his trident and Itachi caught it. Aduki continued talking. You truly are the best illusionist in the world, proclaimed the master of the strongest genjutsu. That trident will help you maintain your title, make good use of it. Itachi nodded, and then Tatsuga's sword absorbed Aduki. Aduki Rokuri, the bearer of the Akugen, was sealed in the Tatsuga sword by Itachi Uchiha. Naruto was running and arrived where Itachi was, who was tired from his battle against Aduki. Seeing his condition, he said, let me help you, Itachi. Placing his palm on his blind eye, Itachi was surrounded by a golden aura. This lasted for a few seconds until it ended. Naruto withdrew his palm and said, there, open your eyes, Itachi. Itachi opened his eye and saw that he had regained his vision, looked at Naruto and said, thanks Naruto-kun, now I must mobilize. There is a lot of chaos and we must respond to the attack. Naruto nodded and said his usual phrase, Jutsu Shadow Multi-Clones. Many clones were created and Naruto said, go to all the places where the fighting is happening, help in any way you can, and I will go to the center where a huge chakra peak is occurring. The clones nodded and went to where the explosions were occurring. Then Naruto said, Mikoto-san, go to the Uzumaki compound. You'll be safe there. The barrier seal can't be easily destroyed. It's better for you and Itachi. Be careful. Itachi nodded, and Mikoto went towards the Uzumaki compound, while Naruto went directly to the center of Konoha. Indestructible steel vs the power of Genta. Genta was running with Hinata towards the emergency shelters, until some metal walls appeared. Then Genta said, Steel, did Ken build this wall? After that, some steel spikes came out of the floor and Genta easily dodged them. Then he said, this isn't funny, Ken. Stop your joke or I'll tell Naruto. Oh, I'd like to be called that, but I actually have another name. Genta turned around and saw that it wasn't Ken. He recognized the black robe with red clouds. Then he said, Akatsuki, but how come Naruto killed its steel user? The Akatsuki member said, Russian, my student, well, I was planning to get revenge on the Jinchuriki, but if I kill his pet, then I'll give him a good emotional blow. People, seeing the danger that this guy emanated, said, Hinata, I need you to leave. I'll buy you time to escape. We're close to the shelter. You can get there from here. Hinata shook her head and said, no, I can't leave you alone. Naruto-kun might get sad if something happens to you. People said, tell me, how would he feel knowing that I couldn't protect you? I couldn't look him in the face. Don't argue and just leave. I'll take care of buying all the time I need. Hinata nodded, then decided to leave, but the Akatsuki member tried to prevent her escape. But Genta stood in front of her and said, I am your opponent, so I won't let you go just like that. Smiling, Genta enlisted. He knew the weakness of steel, so he gathered lightning chakra and charged at the Akatsuki. In response, he said, Steel element. Steel pillars. 3 pillars appeared in front of Genta and he crashed into them, but it only caused them to deform a little more. It didn't pierce through. Seeing this, Genta understood that his applied chakra wasn't enough to destroy the steel. The Akatsuki said, you know the weakness of steel, but your level is not enough to destroy my walls, so now I'm going to finish you off or I'm not called Ariko the Master of Steel. Ariko hit the floor and said, Steel element. Steel spikes. Steel spikes formed on the ground and then he said, this limited your movement. Let's see what you'll do without your agility, stray dog. People were annoyed by that and said, I am not a dog. I come from the Wolf clan and your insult will cost you dearly. Wolf's lightning style. Electric claws. Concentrating lightning chakra in his paws, he formed electric claws and went against Ariko, while he, with his free hand, said, Steel element. Steel spear. With her spear she blocked Genta's attacks, but this caused the spear to slowly deteriorate until a precise blow caused the spear to break, and Genta with his other claw slashed at Ariko's chest. Leaving a scar and backing away she said, You damned animal, now you'll pay for this. Placing his hands on the floor, he said, Steel element. Steel spikes. Forming steel spikes, they went against Genta, who with his claws destroyed everything that came out of the floor until one grazed him, causing a wound on Genta's left hind leg. Ariko smiled and said, "Let's see what you do with an injured leg." People said when they saw him, "Don't underestimate me, human. I'm going to finish you off." Wolf's lightning style. Piercing electric Gutsuga, spinning like a drill but infused with lightning chakra. He went against Ariko, who instead responded with metal walls. Genta broke them as if they were paper, and then he went through the last wall only to not find Ariko there. He stopped and tried to track her chakra. When he found it, he dodged the attack that came from the ground. Ariko came out of there and said, "It's an impressive technique, but it has a flaw. When you do that, you can't detect me, so what's the point of having something like that if you can't hit me?" Smiling arrogantly, Ariko created a steel sword in her hand, ready to attack again. Genta began to consider his options. It was clear that copying techniques without training was costing him the fight. Flashback. "What do you want, you little dog? Didn't it cost you the last time I humiliated you?" Genta said, laughing. Kiba just grunted and said, "If you win a fight, you'll admit you were wrong." Genta nodded and said, "And what did I gain from this?" Kiba was thoughtful about what Genta said. "Oh, I know, now let's begin. Attack me with everything you've got." Kiba nodded and prepared himself. Then, charging his chakra, he said, "Lightning style. Double electric Gutsuga." Both Kiba and Akamaru went against Genta, but he dodged the attack. Genta said, bored, "Seriously, the same attack? I've seen it so many times that I even memorized your move." Kiba, upon hearing this, said, "Let's see. I'll believe you if you do it. It's an Inuzuka clan technique and I doubt you can replicate it." Smiling proudly, I looked at Genta, who was preparing himself, charging his lightning chakra, and said, "Wolf Ray style. Piercing electric Gutsuga." Replicating the same thing as Kiba, except that this lightning chakra did run with intensity and pierced many trees. Genta stopped and gave a smile, to which Kiba was left with his mouth open. "You see, easy, now I'll show you 2% of my power. Lightning wolf style. Electric race." In one swift motion, he stood next to Kiba and then said, "It's been fun. Now I have to go. But not before." Lightning wolf style. Electric roar. With a roar, the electric shockwave struck Kiba and Akamaru, knocking them unconscious instantly. Genta laughed as he walked back home. For days passed and Kiba challenged him again. "Hey, super evolved wolf. Come and fight me again. This time I'll beat you." People just said, "Are you kidding me? I've already beaten you 15 times and even copied your technique as a reward. I don't think you have anything else to offer me except your dignity." Kiba just said, "Fine, so be it. If I win, you'll teach me your techniques. If I lose, I'll do whatever you ask." Genta laughed at that and said, "I accept. Now let's go to the same place as always." Nodding, they went there, and when they arrived, Genta said, "Now we'll do this. Let's see how long you last." Kiba and Akamaru enlisted. This time they didn't do their usual thing, performing hand seals. He said, "Lightning style. Lightning charge." Using lightning chakra, he charged at Genta, who just waited. When Kiba was close, Genta just emitted a wave of chakra that pushed him back. Genta laughed and said, "Now, you dog boy, you may know lightning techniques, but you still can't beat me. Tell me, do you even try?" "No, you don't." Kiba got up angrily, although he tried to do something else, but he couldn't because Genta knocked him down and stood on top of him, saying, "It's over, now I win." Kiba smiled and said, "Hey, this isn't over yet." Kiba exploded in a cloud of smoke. Genta was surprised to see that it was a clone. Then a saw appeared to reach against Genta, and he alone with his tail generated a chakra wave destabilizing Kiba, causing him to lose concentration. "Wow, good trick. If it wasn't so noisy, you would have pulled off the heist. Now you won't get away." Genta generated lightning chakra and said, "Lightning wolf style. Electric roar." Launching his electric wave once more, he went towards Kiba, who just waited for the blow, but Akamaru stood in front. Receiving the blow directly, Genta just said, "Oh, that's a real show of camaraderie. Your teammate decided to take the attack and you're just lying there. I'm leaving, you've already lost." Kiba said nothing and fell unconscious again, while Genta left wondering if he would ever do the same for Naruto. A week passed and Kiba said again, "I want to ask you something." Genta just listened. Kiba, seeing that he didn't say anything, continued talking but not before kneeling down and begging. Please train me, I don't want to become weaker. Genta raised an eyebrow and said, Train you, ha, even if I wanted to I can't. I'm bound to Naruto and only to him can I teach the clan's secret techniques. Although if you really want to have any training with my clan you must sign the summoning contract but not before passing my father's test and let's be honest, you wouldn't last a second. Kiba raised his head and said, I will do whatever it takes. But please, I want to become stronger so I can prove that I am worthy to be the leader of my clan. People just said, as I said, first, you wouldn't withstand anything in my father's test, and second, if you want to be the leader of your clan, then start acting like one. A leader isn't defined by power. A leader has the wisdom to handle everything calmly. You, on the other hand, are impulsive and lack the character of a leader. Now, if that's all you have to say, I'll leave. Genta turned around and was about to leave, but Kiba spoke again. Please, it's not that I'm looking for something like that, but at least I want to be stronger, not just for my clan, but I want to be stronger to protect my loved ones. Genta turned around again and said, as I said, it's impossible for me to teach you. If you truly want to train with someone from my clan, you must sign the contract and pass my father Mako's test. If you don't do that, it will be impossible for you. Besides, your body isn't made to obtain natural chakra. You would suddenly be petrified and remain that way forever. So forget about that. Now I'm leaving. Kiba didn't give up and kept talking. Please, at least give me a chance to take that test and prove that I am worthy. Once again Genta saw him and said, how persistent. I'll make you see that you're really not made for natural energy, he said, blowing all over Kiba's body, avoiding his head. This is proof that you cannot manage your natural chakra. Look at your body. Kiba looked at himself and was astonished to see that he was made of stone. Genta, seeing his reaction, approached him and licked him, causing him to return to normal, and then said, you see, I only used 2% of my natural chakra and look how you ended up. Imagine receiving 100%. You'd instantly turn to stone forever. Now, if you want to become strong, then perform the hand signs for the summoning jutsu. Perhaps it will bring your associated animal to you, and you can train with them. Now I'm leaving. Genta left the place even though he was on top of a building looking at Kiba, who was hitting the ground because he lacked the strength for something like that. Then he thought, you have a good character, but I'm sorry for doing that. You're not ready to be a summoner of my clan. If you did, you would die, and I would be left with the guilt of bringing you there. I hope you understand, dog boy, but I still admire your reasons for becoming strong. I hope you succeed. I wish you luck. Genta continued on his way home, thinking about everything he had seen that day. End of flashback. Ariko ran towards Genta, who also charged with his electric claw. Then their weapons clashed, and due to the superiority of the steel sword, it broke, and Ariko prepared her attack. Steel element. Steel fist. Her fist was surrounded by steel, and she delivered a precise blow to Genta, causing him to go towards the steel wall. Ariko, seeing that her technique worked, struck the floor with the palm of her hand and the steel surrounded Genta, immobilizing him. Genta's body hurt, even more so where he was hit, causing his ribs to break. Then Ariko formed a steel spear in her hand and said, with this, part of my revenge will be fulfilled, die. Throwing the spear straight at Genta's heart, he just waited for the blow. He thought at that moment, this is as far as I go, Naruto. I'm sorry, but I don't think I'll be able to see how you continue to progress, although I would have liked you to at least keep playing with the dog boy. Anyway, at least I've bought time for Hinata to escape. I waited for the impact, but nothing happened. In front of him was Kiba, who used his body as a shield, and the spear had struck his heart. Kiba fell to the ground, and Genta, seeing him in that state, said, because you did it, you had a goal to achieve, you shouldn't have sacrificed yourself for me. Kiba, with his last bit of strength, turned to look at him and said, cough, I did it because cough, you're a calm, cough, buddy of KO, cough, Noha, and that day, cough, Dima that you carry proves it, besides you're a cough friend to me, I was looking to survive, cough, and I saw the steel walls, cough, I decided to observe and I saw you in P, cough, Ligro, and I decided to help you, but I could only think of doing this, cough, Akamaru, cough, forgive me for leaving you, live for both of us. Smiling, he closed his eyes and Kiba died. Akamaru just stayed by his side, and Genta, hearing his words, became enraged. Lightning chakra surged throughout his body and destroyed the steel that immobilized him. He glared at Ariko with fury, but instead said, "What a stroke of luck! Now I'm going to kill you myself." With his arrogant smile, he prepared to attack Genta, to which he only said, "You killed my friend. I will not forgive you. I will destroy you." The lightning chakra resonated throughout his body until it completely surrounded him. Then he said, "I'm going to make you pay for this." Wise art, lightning wolf style. Lightning wolf, running at the speed of light, he hit Ariko, causing third-degree burns from the electricity. He recovered and said, "Damned beast, now I'm really going to crush you." Hitting the ground, the steel walls emerged and the spikes lengthened to strike Genta, who dodged, approaching Ariko. Seeing this, he created 10 steel walls to stop Genta's advance. Upon seeing this, he said, "Nothing will stop me. This is the end for you." Wise art, wolf lightning style. Lightning spear, running without stopping. A lightning spear formed in front of Genta and passed through the walls without problems until it reached Ariko. Without thinking, it went against him, passing through him and causing him to be split in two. Ariko, the master of steel, died from Genta's final attack. Genta deactivated his attack and with the last of his strength returned to where Akamaru was, shedding tears for Kiba, who was there dead. Then he said, "Dog boy, I will treasure all our encounters we had. I hope you now rest in peace. I will make sure you have a dignified funeral." Naruto's clone saw the steel walls and went to see what was happening. Then he saw Genta, Akamaru, Kiba, and an Akatsuki member cut in two. He ignored the last one and went to where the rest were. Genta, when he saw Naruto, said, "I'm sorry. I couldn't do anything. He died defending me." Naruto nodded, approached Genta, and said, "I'll heal you, Genta. Please take Kiba's body to the Inuzuka clan compound and prevent it from being harmed. I'm counting on you." Genta nodded. Naruto used his golden palm to heal him and immediately picked up Kiba and left, followed by Akamaru. The clone, seeing that its work was done, dissipated, carrying the information to the original. Naruto, upon receiving the information from the clone, stopped and punched the wall next to him, breaking it immediately, then said, "Kiba, I didn't want that to happen to you. I must end this once and for all." Returning to his objective was where the light emerged. The killer ray vs the new generation. Konohamaru and Moegi were searching for survivors when they heard a fight. They went to investigate and saw a guy in a black robe with red clouds fighting Konoha ninjas. He had lightning chakra in his hands and they watched as he killed everyone. Then he grabbed one and said, "Where is the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi? If you tell me, I'll give you a peaceful death." The Konoha shinobi said, "Rot in hell, you idiot." The Akatsuki member thrust his hand straight through his heart, then said, "Well, that was quick. Now, out of these 10, only you 4 eyes remain. So, I'll give you 2 options. Tell me the location of the Jinchuriki and I'll give you a painless death, or resist and you'll have a painful death. Please choose number 2. I love it when you resist." The Jounin who was there was Ebisu. He was ready to fight what the Akatsuki member said. "Thank you for choosing number 2. Let's see how long you last." With inhuman speed, he reached Ebisu's side and grabbed him by the neck, then said, "Come on, where is the Jinchuriki? Last chance." Ebisu just spat in the face of what the Akatsuki member said. "Oh, you're acting tough. Let's see how long you last." With his speed, he dragged Ebisu, leaving a trail in the process, then slammed him against the wall. Ebisu just spat blood at what the Akatsuki said. "Well, you lasted a long time, now it's time to die." The Akatsuki member readied his hand with lightning chakra, but a gust of wind pushed him away, causing him to release Ebisu. Konohamaru and Moegi appeared to defend their sensei. They had seen enough and decided to act. Ebisu, seeing them, said, "What are you doing here? Leave, you don't stand a chance against him." The Akatsuki member looked at them and said, "Some brats, haha, well, I've tortured many but I've lost count. Now let's see how long you last." Konohamaru enlisted while Moegi carried Ebisu to safety, saying, with the luminous sword in hand, "Wind style, ta." It didn't end because the Akatsuki member kicked him into the wall, causing Konohamaru to crash into it. After that, the Akatsuki member approached him and grabbed him by the neck, saying, "Well, brat, you're trying to use the wind element, but I won't let you. Tell me where the Jinchuriki is. If you tell me, I promise to leave you in a state between life and death. If not, I'll simply decapitate you, and you'll have the quickest death." Konohamaru tried to break free, but the Akatsuki didn't loosen their grip. They only held him tighter. making it impossible for Konohamaru to breathe. He was about to lose consciousness due to lack of air until some branches emerged from the ground, causing the Akatsuki to release their victim. Konohamaru took enough breaths to recover. Thanks, Moegi, I almost didn't make it. Moegi nodded, stood beside him, and both were on guard. The Akatsuki member watched them with great interest. The legendary lineage of the Shodai Hokage Hashirama Senju. I think we've hit the jackpot today. The brat can't be it, so the brat is the one who possesses that lineage. Let's see, you got the worst opponent. My rays destroy everything, including your lineage. With lightning chakra in his legs, he ran at a speed that cannot be seen with the human eye, positioned himself in front of both genin and kicked Konohamaru aside and grabbed Moegi by the neck. He said, "Come on, brat. I hope you at least entertain me. The only one who can match or surpass my speed would be the fourth Hokage with his Flying Thunder God technique. But he is no longer among the living, so let's have some fun between the two of us." Wind style, upward cut. The Akatsuki member saw the attack and immediately dodged it, released Moegi, and Konohamaru stood beside her. The Akatsuki member smiled and said, "How sweet. The knight in his armor saves the maiden. Kids need to see that the ninja world isn't all sunshine and rainbows." Lightning style, lightning speed. Moving at a speed that went against both genin, Konohamaru readied two hand seals and said, "Wind style, wind dome." Surrounding himself with a dome of wind, he managed to drive the Akatsuki away. He smiled at the boy's work. "That's interesting. If I had touched that, I would have had a bad time. Now the question is how long that technique will last. My patience is eating me up inside." Smiling sadistically, I watched as the dome dissipated, and when it dissipated, I said, "How wonderful. Show me what signs you know my name." Running at a normal speed, he readied his hands with lightning chakra, and Konohamaru saw something. He thought, because he doesn't run as fast as he usually does, it's strange, he only channels chakra in his hands but not in his legs. I'm gonna try something. I looked at Moegi and said, "Moegi, attack him, and when he's discovered, I'll attack him. Let's go." Moegi nodded, gesturing with her hands as she said, "Wood element, underground roots." Roots sprouted from the ground towards the Akatsuki. Seeing this attack, he began to tear the wood apart with his hands. Konohamaru, seeing his opportunity, went against his opponent. Noticing this, he stopped channeling chakra into his hands and concentrated on his legs. With a swift movement, he dodged the attack. Konohamaru understood how his technique worked and said, "I understand your technique now. If you channel chakras in your hands, you can't do it in your legs and vice versa." The Akatsuki smiled and said, "Very observant brat, that's right, that's why I'm known as the Killer Lightning. Since you figured out my technique, I'll indulge you with my name. I'm Diko, a double S rank ninja. In fact, everyone who came to this place is double S. Now that you know who I am, you must die. No one comes out alive when I tell them my name." Moving at great speed, he kicked Konohamaru, cornering him. Moegi went to his aid, but Diko was faster and threw her towards Konohamaru. Diko walked towards them with lightning chakra in his hands, saying as he went towards them, "They're really annoying brats. In a few years they'll be a real problem, so I'll kill them now. It was fun fighting you, so goodbye." He readied his hands and charged at both of them with the aim of piercing their chests, but a wall of ice appeared protecting them both. The lightning chakra dissipated upon contact with the ice, and above him a familiar voice was heard. "Udon here, arriving to save my comrades." Jumping towards where his companions were, Ryalu said, "You can heal them, they're probably badly injured." Ryalu nodded and said, "Sure, I'll heal them. It'll take me a minute, so I'll buy myself some time." Udon nodded and looked at the Akatsuki member in front of him. Diko smiled at the sight of another potential victim, then said, "How impressive, another one with a lineage. The ice, you remind me of Hyligo. Anyway, let's see if you're up to his level." Running at his rapid speed, he circled the ice wall and prepared for a blow. However, another ice wall appeared, stopping Diko's attack. "I won't let you do that." Diko smiled and said, "Wow, interesting, now let's see how you do at this." Backing away, he prepared a powerful lightning attack. Udon only prepared his ice wall. Then Diko said, "Lightning style, lightning shot." Launching his attack, he went against the ice wall, which withstood the attack, and Diko said, "What a stroke of luck. I forgot that ice is formed by wind and water. Anyway, at some point they must come out of there. Then I will enjoy killing them." Railu finished the healing and Konohamaru along with Moegi got up. When the three were reunited, Konohamaru remembered the teamwork of the three, so he said, "Now that the three of us are here, we can beat that guy. Udon, I see you've mastered your lineage, that's great. I wish I had one, but it's not the time for that. He moves at high speed. If we take that away, then it will be easy. You can freeze the ground. With that, we'll limit his movement so we can attack him easily." They both nodded, and with the plan underway, the ice walls lowered. Deko smiled and said, "Finally, ready to die, brats." Without saying a word, Udon gestured with his hands, tapped the floor with the palm of his hand and said, "Ice element, ice field." The floor froze, surprising Deko. Konohamaru prepared to fight, gathering wind chakra in his sword and charging at Deko. Seeing this, Deko tried to dodge, but noticed how the ice nullified his lightning speed. With no other option, he charged his hands with lightning chakra and blocked Konohamaru's attack, then said, "How interesting, they blocked my speed. That brat with glasses knows how to handle his ice, so I already know who I'll kill first." But before, Deko kicked Konohamaru in the stomach, causing him to gasp with a powerful blow. He grabbed Deko by the hair, lifting him up, and then threw him forcefully against the wall. Seeing this, Moegi performed hand seals and said, "Wood element, wooden wall." A wooden wall formed to trap Konohamaru. Deko did not stop and continued running. Moegi, seeing that Konohamaru was okay, concentrated where the Akatsuki, making another series of hand seals, said, "Wood element, wood roots." Larger roots emerged from the ground, and Deko destroyed them with his bare hands as if they were nothing. Konohamaru arrived, still in pain, but ignored him, saying, "Luminous," with wind chakra in his sword. Wind style, large cut. Moving the sword, I created a wave of wind and it went towards Deko, who, seeing the attack, dodged it. Then when he was close, he said, "They are very annoying. It's time for their deaths." Lightning style, electric field. I created an electric field around Deko, which hit all three of them. Deko reached Udon and grabbed him by the neck, then said, "You're a very good kid. However, your luck ends here. Die." Udon saw Deko's hand approaching to kill him. The others tried to reach him, but Ebisu appeared, stopping Deko's attack and managing to free Udon. Deko, seeing how the guy moved his target away, got angry, grabbed Ebisu by the neck, lifting him up, saying, "You dare interrupt my fun, now you'll pay for it, you'll die now." Squeezing his neck tightly, the three genin looked at their sensei. Ebisu's glasses fell off and he looked at his students, making a peace sign with his hand. He tried to speak, but nothing could be heard. However, they read Ebisu's lips. "Take care." Deko pierced Ebisu's chest where his heart was located, killing him. After seeing him dead, he threw him to the ground. He turned to look at the genin, who were astonished by the scene. Deko smiled and said, "Those expressions on their faces, I love them. Now it's your turn. You will die miserably at my hands." Deko began to walk, watching as they remained motionless. However, something within the three of them broke. They glared angrily at Deko. Chakra surged from them. The wind in Konohamaru intensified. Udon's ice caused everything around him to freeze, and Moegi's green chakra caused the plants to grow at an abnormal rate. Deko marveled at what she saw. Then she said, "Wonderful, simply wonderful, you three are the ideal opponent. Now I must reciprocate. I will finish you off in one blow." Deko also concentrated his chakra with an intensity that matched that of the three. Then he channeled all the lightning he could and a dragon formed. Then he said, "This is the end for you, this is my ultimate technique. Die." Lightning style, celestial lightning dragon. Upon seeing the powerful attack, the three genin responded by raising their hands. A Rasengan formed, then took shape. Rings formed around it, then blades emerged and it changed color to green. Having it ready, they launched it, saying, "Combination of elements. Raisenjuan." Both attacks collided, each fighting to dominate the encounter and continue, but due to elemental superiority, the Raisenjuan destroyed Deko's attack. He opened his eyes as he saw his attack being destroyed while the Raisenjuan advanced, and smiled, saying, "Congratulations, you kids. You've won. You three are very strong, and in a few years you'll be unstoppable. This will be a farewell worthy of me." The Raisenjuan advanced and devoured Deko, A great explosion occurred at the site, and when it ended, nothing remained of him, only Diko's torn and burned robe. Diko, the killer Ray, died against Team Konohamaru. The three of them, seeing that it was all over, fell to the ground unconscious. Naruto's clone arrived at the scene and saw the disaster. He looked at his three students lying on the ground and approached to see if they were still alive. When he found a pulse, he was relieved, and Ryalu appeared ready to heal them. Naruto, seeing him, asked, "You know what happened here, Ryalu?" Ryalu nodded and said, "Apparently, they encountered a member of Akatsuki. The three of them fought and won, but at a cost. Their sensei Ebisu died. Thanks to this, they executed a powerful jutsu, which led them to victory. Now they are just tired, and with a rest, they will return to normal." Naruto nodded, looked around and found Ebisu's body. He went to him and picked him up, carried him to where the rest were and said, "Take care of him, whatever happens he must not suffer any harm." "Okay." Ryalu nodded and Naruto's clone disappeared in a puff of smoke. The original received the information, stopped, and smiled thoughtfully. "Good job, you three. When it's all over, I'll make sure you have a great dinner. And Ebisu, I hope you're proud of them. Time to move on." Naruto continued advancing towards his goal. The fire of the sun vs the swordsman of the mist. Zabusa and Haku were looking for more survivors to help them. They separated from the twins to cover more ground. However, a very powerful heat was felt. Zabusa remembered something like this before. Then he dodged a powerful jet of fire that came from the floor. Haku also dodged the underground attacks. Then a voice was heard. "Well, Zabusa Momochi, ninja swordsman of the mist, wielder of the executioner's blade, Kubo Kiribocho, one of the legendary 7 swordsmen, it's a pleasure to see you here today. I never thought I'd see you in this place. Not since our last meeting 10 years ago." Zabusa turned around and there was his old rival. "Jingu, master of fire, because it doesn't surprise me to see you with Akatsuki. Only you can choose that criminal organization." Jingu raised his hands and said, "Hey, don't blame me, I was offered something good and I accepted. Besides, I'm only here for the Kyubi Jinchuriki, nothing more. If you won't interfere with my search, then I'll leave." Zabusa laughed at that and said, "Unfortunately for you, I'm against Akatsuki's actions, so it's my duty to finish you off. Well, look at it this way, at least we can end our fight." Jingu smiled and jumped down to the floor, stood in front of Zabusa and said, "That's interesting. During these 10 years, I've become powerful. The question is, will you be at my level or will you just fall like all my enemies I've fought?" Zabusa readied his executioner's blade and pointed it at Jingu's neck, saying, "You underestimate me, Jingu. You're not the only one who's gotten stronger. I've gotten stronger too, so let's finish what we started a long time ago." Jingu nodded, moved the executioner's blade aside and stepped back, forming a sword of fire in his hand and said, "All right, let's begin then. Entertain me, Zabusa." Zabusa looked at Haku and said, "Haku, stay back, only intervene if necessary. He is mine alone." Haku nodded and Zabusa looked at Jingu, noticing something strange and that he was carrying a small box behind him. He decided to ignore it and started their fight. Zabusa went against Jingu and Jingu charged at Zabusa with his fire sword. They clashed their weapons and continued like this until Jingu said, "You're still the same as always, Zabusa. Since that day we faced each other 10 years ago. Do you remember?" Zabusa nodded and said, "Yes, back then you weren't an Akatsuki criminal, but your style hasn't changed." Flashback. Zabusa's group was advancing, escorting their client, when they felt the area get very hot, and Zabusa realized this when he looked at the floor. "Move around. The heat is coming from the floor." Everyone moved and a torrent of fire erupted from the floor. Then Zabusa understood that they were under attack. Taking a defensive stance with his executioner's blade, he said, "Show yourself, or you're a coward who attacks without showing himself." From the tree jumped an orange-haired man, wearing normal clothes, shinobi boots and black gloves on each hand, and in one of them he carried a fire sword. Then he said, "Well, Zabusa Momochi, one of the 7 swordsmen of the Bloody Mist, it's a pleasure to meet you." Zabula said, "Apparently I'm very famous, never mind. Now for trying to attack the customer, I'll finish you off personally." Jingu enlisted and Zabusa did the same. They were both fighting in a kenjutsu duel and were almost evenly matched. Jingu stepped back and said, Your reputation as a swordsman speaks well of you. Let's see if you can handle this. Fire style, blazing wave. Moving his sword, he launched a wave of fire, and Zabusa, seeing it, made signs with his hands and said, water style, water wall. A wall of water formed, blocking Jingu's attack, although he took advantage of the opportunity and went to attack Zabusa, hitting him directly, but he dissolved into water. Water clone, I see you're not very absent-minded, Zabusa-san. Turning his head to look behind him, Zabusa appeared behind him with the executioner's blade pointed at his back, saying, what can I say? I have a reputation to uphold, now it dies. Zabusa tried to cut his back, but a wall of fire made him retreat. He instead said, Zabusa-san, you must understand that you are not the only one who is not distracted. Now let's continue our duel. Zabusa enlisted and Jingu went against him with his fire sword. They continued fighting until a subordinate of Zabusa said, Master Zabusa needs help against that guy. Zabusa only said, don't even think about interfering, he's my prey, you protect the client. His subordinate nodded and Zabusa said, I'd like to know my opponent's name, so I'll remember you when I'm done with you. Jingu laughed and said, you're getting cocky, Zabusa, but if you want to know, it's Jingu. Now let's see how you handle this. Walking away, he made signs with his hands and said, fire style, fire dragon missile.